Welcome to another episode of Dallas Social Distancing Toastmasters. I will be your Zoom facilitator for the evening. So if you have any questions, any comments, any issues, please private chat me. You can also use the WhatsApp or text me. Now I'm seeing that I have a little bit of a video lag, so hopefully that won't remain. However, a couple of things, and I think we all know this. When you're not speaking, please keep yourself on mute. If you are speaking, note that you need to come off mute and then go back on mute when you're done. This is how we applaud. I know we don't have any guests in, but just in case. And I also want to note that anybody that is speaking, please be sure to keep the timer in your view, and that would be John Vessels. So be sure to either pin him or have him on your screen when you're speaking so that you can follow along with his timing cards or timing backgrounds, whichever they may be. I also want to share with you the agenda for the evening. And it's located at our website, DallasSocialToastmasters.com. And it's over on the right-hand side, that section where it says Member section. You'll see a link that says Current Agenda. And if you click on that, the current agenda will pop up. You are welcome to print that out if you have capabilities and want to, or just leave it up on your screen. But you can follow along with the meeting using that. Again, it's at DallasSocialToastmasters.com under Member section and Current Agenda. At this point, before we move to our Toastmaster for the evening, I do want to go ahead and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. You are welcome to join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point, I will pass the meeting over to Mark. Do you have an inspiration, Mr. Mark Sims, or no?
No, I do not. I'm not inspired tonight.
No, okay. I don't know if I have myself down for that or not, but okay. If not, regardless, I will at this point note one more thing, that if you cannot get a hold of me, Mark Schroeder will be my backup as far as the Zoom facilitator. So if you can't get a hold of me, I'm not responding or I get kicked off, Mark will take over at that point. So you can reach out to him in private chat or text or Zoom. At this point, I would like to introduce our Toastmaster for the evening. Please help me to welcome distinguished Toastmaster, Mr. Lee King.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome. Evening. Today I thought that a good theme, a different theme, would just be talking about surprises. Life is always full of different surprises, and I, in all honesty, got busy this week and I wasn't fully able to research a theme, but I always thought talking about different surprises, good surprises, bad surprises, are all worth talking about. I think for me, the big surprise was just getting moved into my new place over this past week and unboxing some boxes, and you find things that you forgot that you had, old mementos and things like that. I think one of the oldest mementos that I still have that was somewhat surprising to find were my molds of my teeth back when I had braces. So a little bit different for sure. I'm sure that my teeth look a little bit different today than they did back then. But needless to say, that was a little surprise. I could go on all night about the different surprises that I ran into. But I thought that it'd be interesting to hear if anybody has any good or bad surprises that occurred this week that they'd like to share. All right, well, not hearing any, we will go ahead and welcome our guests, Justin Foss. Good evening.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
Good. Congratulations, you must have just graduated, looks like.
Yeah, it was about a year ago, but thank you.
Oh. All right. With that, let's go ahead and start with our duty holders for this evening.
Quick one, Lee, you have one more guest that just
Oops, I do have one. Yes, I just see that. And we have one more guest, Angela Royals.
Yes, hi. I'm just listening in, seeing how, yay. I'm making dinner, my 4-year-old's running around, so I'm mostly listening and seeing what the group is like. But looking
Well, welcome. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our duty holders for this evening. So our timer and our posture monitor will be John Vessels. John, will you please introduce your roles to us for this evening?
Thank you, Lee. As timer, I'm going to be timing different portions of the meetings, like the prepared speaks, the table topics, and the evaluators. We always strive to speak in our time allotted, and that's what this helps us to learn to do. So when you see that you've hit the minimum time, I'll turn that off. You'll see the green flag. And oh, no, none. There we go. You'll see the green flag. When you're halfway through your allotted time, you will see the yellow flag. And when you're reached your maximum time, you'll see the red flag, at which time you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Different times at different places. We have table topics that are 1 to 2 minutes. So you'll see the green flag at 1, the yellow flag at 1.5, and the red flag at 2. Evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll show them the green flag at 2, the yellow flag at 2.5, and the red flag at 3. Also, for table topics, you must make a minimum time of 1 minute. So wait until the green flag comes up before you stop speaking in order to qualify for an award, maybe. Also, as Posture Bell, I will be watching tonight to see everybody's presentation and how they present themselves. And I will be looking for bad posture, things that might distract from your speaking, so that you can learn to break those physical habits and be a better speaker. Back to you, Mr. Topics now, or back to Toastmaster.
Thank you, John, for your reports. Our next duty holder for this evening will be that of grammarian and all counter. And those two positions will be held by Mark Schroeder. Mark, will you please share your roles for this evening?
Certainly, Lee, thank you so much. Let me start with the role of the grammarian. First thing that I have to do as grammarian is provide a word of the day. I just put it also in the chat again. The word of the day is brusque, and it is markedly short and abrupt, or blunt in a manner or speech, often to the point of ungracious harshness. So that's basically the word of the day. We encourage use of it throughout the meeting, and especially during table topics where you have to use the word of the day in order to qualify for a vote. Also, as grammarian, I'm going to be listening for particularly good uses of the English language or things that I consider infractions of the English language. And I'm going to make notes of all of those things for a report at the end of the meeting. My second duty is going to be as all counter tonight. As all counter, what I do is I listen for verbal crutches. I listen for anything that you might utter while you are searching for a word or searching for your next topic. So if I happen to hear things like so, in some cases, not always, so is occasionally normal, but not always. If I happen to hear any of those words, I'm going to make a note of it and give a report of all of that. We normally make noise for those. I don't really have a good way to make noise that's going to work on Zoom because everything is too short-lived on Zoom to make it through when somebody else is speaking. But I will make a report at the end, and we are normally quiet during the prepared speeches so that we don't rattle our prepared speakers too much. That concludes the description of both of those duties. Back to you, Lee.
Thank you, Mark. Our vote counter for this evening is Dagan Newland. Dave, can you please share your role for this evening?
Yes, as vote counter, I will be taking the votes for we only have 2 sections that we'll be voting for, and that's going to be the table topics and big 3. So when you're called upon to vote, you'll send those votes directly to me. So, and also remember to, if you have any comments for anybody speaking up here, you can send those directly to them through chat. And at the end of the meeting, I will tally up the votes and let you know who won. And Mark Schroeder, real quick, can you repeat the word of the day so I know the proper pronunciation again?
Absolutely. Brusque, B-R-U-S-Q-U-E, brusque.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Almost as if it was spelled B-R-U-S-K.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And back to you, Toastmaster.
All right, thank you. Our final duty holder for this evening is John Vessels, who will be our posture monitor. John, will you please show your role for this evening?
Well, as posture manager, I'll be watching everybody's speeches and presentations, and I will make note of their body language or anything that I find distracting from their speech, or even some positives if I see certain things that I think are positive body movements. And I'll make note of all this and present it when the general evaluator calls upon me to do so.
All right, thank you. At this time, it is time to move into the prepared speaking portion of the meeting. For the benefit of our guests, this is the portion of the meeting in which the speakers obviously had time to prepare, so they know that they are speaking for this evening on like table topics. And the prepared speaker will receive an evaluation. Tonight's evaluator will be Mark Sims. Mark Sims, will you please introduce us to Cheryl Slagle's speech for this evening?
Cheryl's speech project tonight is an evaluation and feedback project, one that most of us are very familiar with because we've done before. And the purpose of this is for her to present a speech on whatever subject she chooses. She will get feedback from me tonight when I give a speech evaluation, and then she'll have the opportunity in the future to give this speech again, taking into account the feedback that I offered and attempt to improve the speech. And so what her goal is to prepare the speech, receive feedback, and benefit from that. Model is there are 3 kinds of people, and I believe this is going to be a 5 to 7 minute speech. So please help me welcome Cheryl Sandberg. There are no, Cheryl, I'm sorry, Cheryl Sandberg is with Facebook. Cheryl Slagle. Well, you almost got an amazing promotion to COO.
Right? That would have been fantastic.
Sorry
Can you
about
hear me
that.
all right? That's okay.
See what I can do on that. Please help me welcome Cheryl Slagle. There are 3 kinds of people. There are 3 kinds of people. Cheryl Slagle.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Can you hear my dog barking?
Yes, we can.
Sorry. There are 3 kinds of people. This could be the start of a really great joke. It's not. Instead, it's a theory that I've been thinking about, especially since we've all been working remotely. I'm thinking there are 3 kinds of people: starters, finishers, and fixers. Now, it's true that you can be all 3, but usually you are happiest at or excel at 1, maybe 2. And you may find that you are 1 at home and 1 at work. I'm calling this theory dynamic teaming. So let's take a closer look. Starters. Starters like to get things going. They're the ones that say, I've got an idea. And usually they have lots of ideas and are willing to share them often, good or bad. Starters have high energy and interest at the start of a project, but their enthusiasm may dwindle as the project goes on. They're the ones that may have 7 or more books on their nightstand, and they've probably started a few of them. They might have a few unfinished projects, and it does bug them that they aren't complete, but they're able to look the other way. But we need starters for their energy and initiative. Finishers. Finishers get great pleasure in bringing a project over the finish line. They're usually the first to volunteer to take a project to the next level. They like a good problem solve, workaround, puzzles, details. They love to-do lists, especially the process of crossing off things on their list. They fold their laundry right away. They don't want to look at a project unfinished. They devour a book quickly, moving on to the next one. They love happy endings and closure on most things. So we need finishers for their focus and tenacity. We need finishers for progress. Fixers. The fixers. The fixers are the swoopers. They get great satisfaction in swooping in and fixing problems. Disconnects and gaps and misses might make them uncomfortable, but also a little bit giddy because it gives them meaning. They might be sensitive, intuitive, empathetic and sensing a problem before it's even articulated. Fixers are usually swift and stealth in their fixing, and the best fixers are almost undetected in their efforts. We need fixers to keep finishers sane and steady. We need fixers just to make things better. So which of these is best? Starters, finishers, or fixers? One of the things I appreciate most about this theory is that no one is better than the other. They are actually interdependent, and we absolutely need all three. Starters need finishers need someone to start, and both need fixers. What if we actually set up work teams this way? Can you imagine the efficiency, productivity, and sheer bliss? I can. I have actually worked in this mix. And in that scenario, I am usually the fixer. I'm juggling lots of unfinished projects, but sometimes I'm the starter and sometimes I'm the finisher. But usually the finisher takes my work and takes it to the next level. And as a fixer, aren't we the real heroes? Of course, I've made myself the heroine of my own theory because we make the finished product look fantastic. Alone, we're each pretty incredible, but together, we're more than the sum of our parts. We're a dynamic team. I used to think that I was a starter because I'm a brainstormer and I love coming up with new ways of doing things, but really I'm a fixer. Even when I feel like I'm a starter because I'm putting my starter spin on something, I'm really a true fixer. But at home, I'm a starter. I have lots of unfinished books, a few unfinished projects, etc. But at work, I tend to prefer to scurry in the background, making everyone else look good because I get joy out of making things and people better. I'm okay to admit that I'm not the best finisher. I'd rather get something done before it even goes on a to-do list. And I don't like things to end. I don't like saying goodbye. So I'm happy that I've finally identified myself as a fixer. So what do you think about this theory? Which one are you, or two? Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Cheryl, for a great speech. John, did Cheryl meet time?
Yes, Shar qualified at 4 minutes, 38 seconds.
Okay, great. Please take a moment and just send Cheryl a few comments if you so desire. You can send it through the private message. But I definitely believe that there are starters, finishers, and fixers. And I think honestly, it kind of depends on the environment that I'm in determines what I am. I definitely am good at starting things. I can pick up projects halfway and try to fix them, and other times so I think it just depends on my environment and task. At this time, we will now move on to our next section. So, benefit of our guests for this evening. This will be our table topics, impromptu speaking. And to explain more about table topics, I will introduce you to Karen Lee, who will be our table topics master. Karen.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, the table topics portion of our meeting is where folks answer questions that are just top of the head. It can be used for interviewing and impromptu questions that come up during the day. You do have to speak for at least a minute, and you also do have to use the word of the day, and that word today is brusque. Would any of our guests like to participate? I have a few of our seasoned members go ahead, and then I'll ask question of a guest. These questions center on travel. Where would you like to visit? Mark Schroeder.
Where would I like to visit? Sadly, it would not be just a visit because it is way too far away. If I had a choice, the trip that I would take would probably be a 3 to 4 week trip because it would end up going through Australia. And the best way to do that trip apparently is on one direction going there, you stop at Fiji, and on the other direction coming back, you stop at Tahiti. And so between doing Australia plus those two places, you pretty much have got to have 4 weeks, or at least 3. You couldn't do it really in any less and have any amount of time staying anywhere probably. So I would probably pick Australia just because of the Great Barrier Reef. I'd have to get recertified. It would certainly not be something that I would want to do in a brusque manner. No way would I want to be quick or abrupt. It would take a lot of planning, a lot of effort, and a lot of relaxing time doing that particular trip. But it's still on my bucket list. Madam, table topics.
Okay, thank you, Mark. What is one of your most memorable travel experiences, Dagan Newland?
Well, I would have to say, I have to go back in time, back when I was a little younger, actually quite a bit younger now. Around when I was about 13, I was in the Boy Scouts. We were actually in what they call a high venture trip. We did a lot of backpacking and hiking and canoeing and things like that. But one of the trips we went on, we went over to Europe, more specifically Belgium. But we landed in Frankfurt, Germany. Then we took a bus or some kind of big mass transit to over to Belgium, and they had like what they call a scout jamboree. So just getting over there and learning about Germany and Belgium, and we were actually there for 2 weeks. 1 week was actually the scout jamboree, which we had a bunch of different scout stuff going on, and 1 week was just getting the sights of Belgium, walking the beaches and seeing the different little towns in Belgium. So that was actually a really wonderful thing to do as a young teenager. And at some point, I really would love to actually go back over there at some point because I found it fascinating. And this, of course, being 2 weeks it's not a brusque type of vacation, being 2 weeks long. So it was actually quite nice to go there. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Dagan.
I see my camera froze. Well, at least on my end.
What kind of international food do you enjoy? Angela.
Hi. What kind of international thing do I enjoy?
Yeah, what kind of international food do you enjoy?
Oh, food do I enjoy? Great question. So can I just quickly, I don't want to go longer than 2 minutes and I want to,
Your goal is between 1 and 2 minutes. You must make
And the
1
green.
minute, so don't stop until you see the green. But after the red comes up, you still have 30 seconds.
so what kind of international food do I enjoy?
And you have to use the word of the day, which is brunch.
Right, okay. That is a very interesting question. And there are many international foods that I enjoy. The first one that comes to mind would have to be Mexican food because I'm from Texas and it's something that I've always been in my culture and my experiences have always been around Mexican food. Coincidentally, I happened to marry a New Yorker, lived in New York for a while and started to enjoy their Mexican food as well. And then my husband and I started to really like margaritas, and he is a artist and connoisseur. And so he began to make really great margaritas. And now we've sort of grown from this, my early years were enjoying just regular Tex-Mex. And now that's grown into a more robust experience around Mexican food. And I don't know how to use the word brusque in this. I'm thinking about it. Hold on. The green means what again? Sorry.
That you have qualified, met the minimum time.
I met the minimum target. Okay. It has evolved into a more of experiential thing where we're looking for quality and quantity, and we're not making the food in a brusque manner. We're doing it in a way that we're honoring the craft, and we're getting to know the best tequilas and the best ingredients to use in our Mexican food. And that is what I enjoy about Mexican food. I'll do better next time.
Okay. What would be a couple of items that you would take with you on your dream vacation, Justin?
A few items I would take with me on my dream vacation.
Uh-huh.
The first item I would definitely take is a suitcase. I need to pack everything. I would like to take 2 suitcases, one filled with my clothes, one filled with nothing else. I would like to take home a lot of souvenirs. On my dream vacation, I would like to go to the beach, and I would probably bring flip-flops. I wouldn't want my dream vacation to be brusque. I would want it to be at least a few weeks, if not 3 weeks. I would like Angela, I would like to drink margaritas on the beach, relax. See some sights, eat some good local cuisine, maybe if they have a different language, maybe pick up some of the language, and just have a good time, go out to the nightlife and the night, enjoy the weather, enjoy the people, and enjoy my free time. Thank you, Karen.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Mr. John Justice, did everybody qualify on time?
Yes, everyone qualified on time.
Okay. And our grammarian, Mark Schroeder, did everybody use the word of the day?
Oh dear, that was my job, wasn't it?
I thought I heard everyone use the word of the
I
day.
think.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Everybody did.
All
I think
right.
so.
Everyone did. We had Mark Schroeder tell us about wanting to visit Australia. We had Dagan talking about his visit to Belgium. Angela was talking about margaritas and Mexican food. And Justin was talking about some items that he would take with him on his beach vacation. So please vote for and send your votes to Dagan Newland for in chat for the person that you thought did the best performance on table topics. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Get myself off mute. We will go ahead and go into the general evaluation portion of the meeting led by Rob Giles. Rob.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. General evaluation, or the evaluation portion of our meeting, is the portion where we go over how well we did and how well the meeting ran. My job is to give a report from the beginning of the meeting to the end of the meeting. We will go over our duty holder reports for each of the duty holders that applies, as well as our evaluator who evaluated our prepared speaker this evening. And what we will do is start off with that, our evaluator for the evening, which is Mark Sims, evaluating Cheryl Slagle's speech. Please help me to welcome Mr. Mark Sims.
Thank you. There are three kinds of people, and Cheryl brought that out very well and very clearly. Following the evaluation guidelines that we have, or the evaluation template, I'm going to discuss what she excelled at, what she could work on, and how she could really challenge herself. What Cheryl excelled on, there was very good information provided on the three types of people. And for example, good definitions on starters, on finishers, on fixers. And when she discussed each of those roles and the importance of those roles, could either see ourselves or we could see specific coworkers come to mind that filled those roles. And Cheryl, thank you for pointing me out that I am a finisher. I absolutely appreciate happy endings. Even if I've seen a movie before several times and it ends happy, I'm always happy at that point. So that is funny that you brought out that exact point. And then other attributes of a hit home. Also, Cheryl had a good speaking voice, not just tone or steadiness, but enthusiasm and the interest in the subject, because you can tell if someone is just giving a report or if again they have an honest or a real interest in their subject, and she certainly did. And it was a professional voice, but it was again, I sensed enthusiasm and interest in the distinctions between different personalities. And also she pointed out in her discussion some very good nuances, such as that we may be more than one of these roles, and also we may be different at home than we are at work. And that's a very good point. Cheryl had good concentration. The dog was going crazy at first. I could almost see myself, if I was a speaker and it was my dog, turning around and yelling, "Shut up," and ruining the speech. But she persevered, the dog got quiet. And this is important because you're going to give a speech sometime or a presentation, or maybe there's some jerks that are talking, or there's some background noise you can't control. So good response to that. And a good ending. Which one of these are you? Good, simple, direct ending. About the main recommendation I have to improve is to maybe use a real life example from work that has a little bit of detail, enough to fill up some more of the time on how each of the three different approaches came together in order to work for the common good. That would be a really great way to expand on a very nice speech. So thank you very much. We definitely enjoyed it. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Mark. At this point, I would like to ask our timer, Mr. John Vessels, did Mark Sims qualify on time with his evaluation?
Yes, Mark Sims qualified on time.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. please go ahead and send any private or any comments that you may have for Mark and his evaluation in a private chat to him. Again, it's Mark Sims, not Mark Schroeder. If you have comments for Mark Schroeder, I'm sure he will accept those as well. However, for the evaluation, that would be Mark Sims. At this point, I have a couple of directions that I can go. I can either give my evaluation of the meeting and allow the duty holders to critique me, or I can allow the duty holders to give their reports, and then I can follow up by critiquing them in my evaluation report for the meeting. And that second one is the latter one is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to actually call on our duty holders for the evening, and I'm going to start with our grammarian and accounter, and that would be Mr. Mark Schroeder. Mark, can you tell us what you heard as accounter and as grammarian?
Certainly. Let me go ahead and do grammarian first, just because I've got them in that order on my sheet here. First of all, I did a poor job of noting the word of the day during table topics because I was absolutely zoned out on that. But I knew almost everybody. There was only one person I wasn't sure of, and everyone corrected me to make sure that we had the right answer, which was that everybody used the word of the day. I have a plethora of things that were grammatically very descriptive that Cheryl used, and I'm going to go through quite a few of them here. She said, able to look the other way, which there are a lot of other ways to describe that, but able to look the other way, we all know exactly what that means. Devoured a book quickly. That's a very descriptive phrase. I loved swoopers in particular, and the word giddy as well. We also heard the word empathetic. There was one that I really liked, the heroine of my own theory. I can't think of a more descriptive or wonderful phrase to say that. And I also liked, finally, starter spirit. So those are the things that I liked. There is one thing that I would make a recommendation of changing, and it was earlier on in your speech when you said you may be one at home, one at work. Well, we're all one everywhere, but the point is maybe it might have been better to say you may be one at work, one at home, and a different one at work. That was a little bit confusing at first, and I had to think about what you probably meant, and I decided that was a semantic that you probably meant. Let's see, also for grammarian Mark Sims, I liked what she excelled at and the distinction between different personalities. So those were the main things that I saw that were good. I did not hear any particular infractions. Let me go ahead and start with the counters report real quick. Dagan, you maxed out the counter, which is unfortunately typical, but you managed to do it tonight. You also had, I caught 2 and only 2 ums. And he's off my screen. Is he still here? We have 10 people. He's got to be here. Yep, he's just off my screen. Justin, you basically, there's 1 for me, by the way. Justin, you used the phrase about 5 times, which is getting close to our max. And you also used a single and I caught 1, That was all I caught from you. Mark Sims, it was really hard to hear it, and it was really quick, but I caught 1 just barely as you were fumbling to look for a word. That concludes my report for both the grammarian and for the counter tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Schroeder. At this point, I would go to our last duty holder report that we will get for the evening, and that is for our posture monitor. Please help me to welcome Mr. John Vessels.
Hey, everybody. Posture belt report is going to be kind of short tonight. I mean, I thought everybody did a good job. I didn't see anything really crazy. And of course, it's harder on Zoom than it is when we're in person and on the stage and everything. And the only kind of thing I noticed, and Cheryl, you're, of course,
Throw it away. We don't need it anymore.
Okay. I could see the stress in your eyes and the way you were looking around when the dog was barking, and I get it and I understand it. And that's hard to ignore. when in our usual settings, we're on a stage and waiters are coming in and out and they slam doors and all kinds of little background things are happening sometimes at our club meeting. And when we get in that, you'll understand that you'll just ignore all that. I mean, you'll tune all that out and you'll stop looking and stop caring and you stop doing it. But the dog right there in your place, I get it. I mean, it's hard to ignore that. But otherwise, good job. I liked everything and everybody did a good job on posture tonight. So take it away, Mr. Rob Giles.
Thank you very much, John. At this point, I will give my evaluation for the meeting itself. And I always like to start off with a little bit prior to the meeting. And I always want to note the great collaboration that everybody has, because we do have starters, finishers, and often need swoopers when it comes to filling out our agenda. So we had some great volunteers that came in, some closer to the finish line, but throughout the week as we were preparing and as the Toastmaster was preparing, Lee as Toastmaster did a fantastic job with getting those jobs filled, those roles filled. And ultimately, we ended up starting, I think, pretty much on time, if I remember correctly. Other than I think our Zoom facilitator forgot to start recording at the correct time. But other than that, we had a great start, great prior to the meeting. The theme of the meeting, surprises. Well, not a whole lot of content that I heard or saw with that, but that's not always the most important thing. The most important thing with the meetings is for it to go along at a good pace. And sometimes having a little bit less can help it to run along that pace at for a better finish at the end of the meeting and more appropriate to the time that we want to finish at. So I thought that fell in line fine as well. I think that we had a good introduction or notation of what our prepared speakers' speech goals were. I don't recall having our Toastmaster ask the evaluator to actually introduce the speaker. I may have missed that part. Now, often, a lot of times when we get called upon as evaluator, we end up introducing the speaker, and that's fine as long as the Toastmaster can roll with it, or if the Toastmaster asks you to actually do that. So that's something to keep in mind, though, as evaluator. If you're not asked to do that, send it back over to the Toastmaster and let them perform that duty. Our speaker, fantastic speech. I'm not going to evaluate that. I will just say fantastic speech. I loved it. And our table topics for the evening. Karen, as topic master, fantastic job. You started off with an introduction as to what table topics is good for and how it can help you as far as interviews are concerned. And I believe that you mentioned that you had to use the word of the day. I don't know if you mentioned the time. Yeah, I don't think you reiterated that portion, but that's fine. As long as everybody is paying attention at the beginning, then they should know. But as you do the table topics master role, adding that in can always help a little bit, especially if somebody comes in late. The questions that you had, I thought were fantastic. You had questions that everybody really could answer, but was somewhat thought-provoking, which is what it should be. As we get moving up, as you increase your knowledge and your ability of speaking impromptu, extemporaneously, then some tougher questions sometimes can help out, especially with veteran Toastmasters. But overall, I think the questions were great and the responses from everybody was equally fantastic. And I think that we had a great table topics portion. I want to also talk about our evaluator for the evening, Mark Sims. Mark, you had a fantastic, and I'm using that adjective a lot here, a fantastic evaluation for Cheryl. You gave points that were positive, that were encouraging as far as her speech was concerned, and you gave actual examples. You talked about being a finisher. You talked about movies related to that. You talked about the nuances that she brought up regarding being more than one particular type of person as far as the starter, finisher, and swooper is concerned. You also noted, similar to Mark Schroeder, that she did a fantastic job of moving right along. I think it was John actually noted, and he actually noted the facial expression, so I'll get to that in a moment. But John, or Mark, you noted that she just trudged right along, and she did well with that, which is what I always say is true Toastmaster fashion. John mentioned it while you're in the meeting in person. You can't let other things distract you. If you get distracted, everybody else is going to get distracted too. But if you soldier on, people will focus on what you're talking about and they won't even know what's going on around them. So that's when you know you have the audience. You also talked about a good ending and said that her question to the audience was just that, a good way to end. You also told her that perhaps an example of real life, whether it's collaboration regarding those different types, but something perhaps at work. So I thought that that was a good opportunity for her to gain from that and something that she could think about. Our duty holders for the evening. Thought you did great, very detailed, but yet brief introduction at the beginning of the meeting. And at the end of the meeting, our duty holder reports. I thought you did a fantastic job, Mark. Wasn't too long, although you did mention that maybe you weren't paying as much attention regarding word of the day. I don't think that's necessarily something you need to tell us, but I think you still did a fantastic job with those things. John, again, like you said, virtually a little tough to go ahead and give a full report because we don't see a lot. Facial expressions are one thing that we do see, or we should be looking for, and you did that with Cheryl, so I applaud you for that. But your report, brief and to the point. So duty holders did a fantastic job. Overall, the meeting I thought was well done. We moved along very briskly. We're at 7:33 right now, which is probably the earliest that we're coming around to ending a meeting in a while, unless my time is wrong. So overall, well done. I applaud everybody. And also on top of that, we had 2 guests that actually participated. So kudos to our guests for joining in and participating. That's something that we don't always get. Sometimes it's a little scary, may give you a little trepidation if you want to jump in. That is one thing that I wanted to say also with Karen. It was great that you gave that opportunity at the beginning of Table Topics to let them know, hey, just let me know. And then you went back to them at the end of Table Topics. So I thought that was a good way to do that, give them an opportunity to think about it and actually chime in if they wanted to join as far as participating. At this point, I want to ask for a vote for the best of the big 3. And this you will send to Dagan Newland, who is our vote counter. So send a private chat to Dagan Newland, and you can choose from one of these 3 people. They are our big 3. First one is our Toastmaster for the evening, Mr. Lee King. No surprise there. Our topic master for the evening, Karen Lee. And finally, our general evaluator for the evening, which is yours truly. So please go ahead and place your vote for the best of the big 3. And again, that's Lee King, Karen Lee, or Rob Giles. At this point, I want to hand the meeting over to our president for the evening. Please help me to welcome, or not for the evening, but for our club. Please help me to welcome Mr. Mark Sims.
Thank you, Rob. For starters, we to recognize Angela and thank you, Angela, for attending tonight. And thank you again very much for participating. So much the better. Angela, we'd appreciate it if you could just tell us a little about yourself, what brought you to a Toastmasters meeting, and what can we do to help you?
Sure, I am. Thank you for that. And I'm happy to be here and involved with you guys. I am at a point in my career journey where I'm not doing as much speaking to audiences as I'd like to. So I'm becoming a little bit out of practice. I'm not as well spoken as I'd like to be. Some of the feedback I've gotten recently is that I'm not for whatever reason, I'm not holding the command that I would like to. And so I think some of that is the nature of career driven. I've got kids. I'm not able to burn the midnight oil and always be as prepared and on top of that stuff. So I want to have more opportunities to just get more comfortable with speaking, thinking on the fly, all of those, just some of the professional structure of speaking. I'm also coming off of, I mean, I'm wanting to, my kids are older now. My youngest is 4. So, but I'm wanting to launch my career a bit better at this point. So the better I can present myself and put my best foot forward, that would be great for me. So I have actually been doing some career counseling, and it's been fascinating. And she introduced me to Toastmasters, which I had never heard about, but I mentioned it to my mom and she goes, "Oh my God, it's been around for so long." So I thought that's great, because most of the things you do, I'm looking at Leadership Dallas, I was looking at all these organizations, and it's thousands of dollars to meet people, to take courses, to learn. And it's nice to have an environment where I can do it in a safe space. And not even that safe is what I need, because obviously in the professional environment, it's not always safe, but just in a space where you can just do it kind of repetitively over and over again. And you're just, I mean, my career counselor said that in addition to other things, she did it regularly, and it's become more second nature to her speaking out loud. So that's why I'm here. I'm from Dallas, from East Dallas, have 2 kids. I work in the nonprofit space, but I was in New York for 15 years working in retail and merchandising. Oh, that's the other reason why I'm doing this, is I'm kind of making a career shift. And so in addition to, I'm now working in the nonprofit space, and I'm working on selling my brand and myself in this workspace, because before it was easy. I could say, well, I work for this company, this company, and this company in retail. This is my background, and they knew exactly what I did. Now I have to say, okay, well, why did you come from retail and now you're in the nonprofit space? What can you add? So I'm hoping at some point within this journey, I can start to speak to that more in these sessions and start to help cultivate my brand. So there you go. Was that enough? Too long?
No, that's very interesting. And it's this.
Oh, he froze.
He
No, he
froze.
froze.
What a look too. For
Oh, that is a lot.
And he's gone.
Looks like he just checked out.
Okay, so at this point, while we're waiting for Mark to come back around, why don't we go to Justin? Justin, you've been at our meetings a few times. Can you tell us?
He is a paid member now.
He is
Oh, he is a paid member.
He
Well,
is
there
a
we
paid
go.
member,
Then
and
we
I
have
just checked.
something.
He is actually on toastmasters.org already.
We need to take care of some business then.
Yes.
So why don't we do that?
Okay.
And we will go ahead and I don't know if Mark, you can move him to another.
Yeah, just one second.
We're gonna,
So
Justin, we're
Justin,
gonna
we
move.
have to move you into a breakout room for just a quick moment while we do a vote.
Well, we're just going to talk about you. That's all.
Normally we would have you step outside of the room. So this is the closest we have to a room. Let me.
And the reason that we do this, Justin, is when you join as a club, we vote you in. And this, I don't think that this has ever happened while I've been a member, but if you were to become somebody that became a disruptive person in our club, or there was something that happened, then we would have the ability to vote you out. If we don't vote you in, we can't vote you out. So,
to my knowledge, it's happened one time in D50 in District 50 in 10 years.
there you go. So more than anything,
so
it's
they
just
overreacted and made us all do this.
yeah. So it's a formality, though.
It's a formality.
Okay.
All right, let me move you out real quick.
Okay.
And
There we go.
he is gone.
I make a motion, we let Justin Faust become a member of Dallas Social Toastmasters.
I second. We're eager.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any nays? Okay.
Can you move him back in, Mark?
I can, just a warning, it may take 30 seconds. I'm not sure if there's a, nope, it's going to close it in 9 seconds.
Did
I must
y'all
have
just
lowered the-
approve my impeachment?
Sure did.
Oh, you heard that vote?
That's great.
That is
Hey, that's-
bad. I'm talking and then y'all aren't moving, but it's me that's the problem.
Okay, so
Hang on,
so
I'm not
Justin,
sure. Is he back?
Justin, you back?
Yes, he is back. Okay.
Justin, we voted you in. So congratulations. Welcome to Dallas Social Toastmasters. We look
Thank
forward
you
to
guys
seeing
so much.
You're welcome.
At this point, I will move it back over to our president, Mr. President. Anything else?
Thanks, Rob. Angela, that was not an editorial comment. We definitely enjoyed having you in our meeting. Please do come back, and if you would like to join our group, we'd be honored, and we can provide plenty of opportunities. So your friend was totally correct in that this is a great opportunity. Just a few things to bring up. Oh, and thanks so much, Justin. It sounds like you just joined, and appreciate you sticking with us, coming back, visiting several times, kind of taking our measure, and we want to give you those opportunities you want to speak. This is a place for it. Want to note that next week, on May the 13th, I'm actually going to be out because I have a competing Zoom meeting, but we were going to attend an evaluation contest. So a little bit different from the normal meeting. And Rob, did we ever get a response back from the program director?
We did not, unfortunately. And I reached out to our division director, and he also inquired. He did not have an answer himself yet, actually asked the program quality director. Unfortunately, the program quality director had some personal tragedy happen. So that could be the reason that we did not hear anything back.
Okay. And let's see. I think the original, go ahead, Lee.
Go ahead, Lee.
Okay, so in that case, I would say now would be a good time to go ahead and vote if we're gonna donate $100 to the district for a virtual conference.
Okay, and that also, just to mention, we have 100 bookstore bucks to do so with. So it's not real money that we're sending if we do it, but it is still something that we could possibly use for other things once we get back in person, like ribbons. Well, ribbons not necessarily, but ballots and perhaps some other things.
And actually, don't we need a new banner that doesn't say Dallas Singles?
That too, yes. I don't know what the cost is for that. I don't know, and well, that we can't use the bookstore bucks for. Bookstore bucks can only be used at the D50 bookstore.
Oh, true.
However, I think they do sell, or you can get banners from D50.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it will say Dallas Social, but it would have the new logo and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so do you want to vote?
Okay, that's fine. Does anyone, Lee, did you actually make a motion on that?
I guess it was more of a point of
Okay,
order. You're the president, so.
okay. Okay,
Well,
motion on the floor to contribute $100 in bookstore bucks to the district conference as an admission. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, so in that case, all in favor say aye or raise your hand. And all opposed, raise your hand. Okay. And let me see.
Well, nays have it.
And
That's
have it.
what it looked like. I wasn't seeing everyone
Yeah,
all at
It
once.
looks like it was overwhelming nay.
Okay.
Do you have to, I wasn't sure like which way to vote had like,
Sure.
okay.
I saw the same thing. We
I will
should
say
pay
this.
for a virtual conference. Like,
I will say this, we may still get an answer back and they may make a change. Who knows? I know the last I heard, there were only a handful of clubs that had paid. So there may be a very similar thought among all the other clubs in D50 regarding that. And if that's the case, at the last minute, they may just send out something saying, hey, and anybody can come. And again, as members, if you're a paid member, you can still attend the contests. And that doesn't cost anything. So even if we don't pay, we can still attend the contests. And then we also have the business meeting on Saturday, the 15th, the morning of Saturday, the 15th. I think it's 9 a.m. It might be 10 a.m., but I think it's 9 a.m.
It'll go from 9 to 3 like last year, probably.
Well, yeah, there's other things that are going on. So no, last year I think it was quicker because it was virtual.
Oh, it went on all afternoon. Because
Well, how is that possible when like the contest had to go?
They kept getting pushed back because they couldn't move forward in the thing until they got everybody's Zoom votes.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't remember that, but regardless, hopefully that was a good trial run, and hopefully this time around it'll be quick or quicker, and we will be able to get to the other things like the international speech contest, which is at, I believe, 2:30 p.m. on Saturday the 15th. But let me say that, Mark, go ahead. I see you're about to say something.
I'm sorry. If you, no, please do finish up.
In regard to, so with the contests for District 50, we have the humorous speech contest on Wednesday the 13th, or Wednesday the 12th, I'm sorry. Thanks, Jeff. And then on Thursday the 13th, which is when we normally would meet, we are going to meet or go ahead and attend the evaluation contest for District 50. I will send out information to everybody regarding that and how you can get to that Zoom meeting. The one thing in there is that you want to make sure that for any of these contests, just that you mute yourself for the most part and understand that you need to be muted. And when the speech contestants are go ahead and speaking, that you have to turn your video off as an attendee. So understand those things if you do end up going. On the 14th, Friday the 14th, it's the table topics contest. And all three of those for humorous evaluations and table topics is at 7 p.m. So as far as the evaluation one is, which is happening on Thursday, please try to get there at 6:45 so that you're all settled and all in and ready to go and see some great evaluations off of a nice featured speaker. And then finally, again, on Saturday, the international speech contest, which is the contest which could possibly lead to a world champion in public speaking. So keep that in mind as well. And those are some great inspirational and motivational speeches. Again, I will send out the information in an email regarding the links for the evaluation contest. I will have the links in our Dallas Social Toastmasters website calendar, so you can go there as well. And that will be for the other contests as well. And I think that that's it for me. One other thing, I do have an a member orientation taking place on this Saturday at 10 a.m. Justin, if you are available and would like to do that, I can give you a little bit more information regarding our club and Toastmasters. And again, that is at 10 a.m. this Saturday.
Yes, I'm available. Is it like a Zoom?
It's a Zoom, same as this, yes.
Yeah, if somebody could just send me like an email or.
Will do. I'll send it out and I'll be sure that you're included. I don't know whether you are on our email list as of yet. Mark Schroeder, is he?
He has not been moved. He has not gotten the invite to the DSTM group, the members group. I will do that very soon.
Okay, excellent. And that, I think, is all from me for now. Back to you, Mr. President.
And reminder, in 3 tonight, we're going to vote on a slate of officers for the term starting July 2021 through June 2022. It might be easiest just for everyone to think about and decide if you would like to be president, because in a sense that isn't necessarily the most important role. It's important, but it's not where frankly a lot of the real work goes on. And then especially if you're not currently an officer, again, please do consider if you want to step out, be president, and kind of expand your horizons. So that is as good of a place as any to start to. We don't have to have it nailed down in advance. It's great if we can actually have a competition and a vote. That's really, I believe, the way it's intended to be. But a lot of times it usually comes up to folks kind of volunteering or agreeing to be part of a slate, and it's simply adopting a slate. And I just saw a question for Angela. When do you need to have officers nailed down for the next year? And we're going to try and have that election again on May 27th. The current officers' terms go through June of 2021, but usually in order to have plenty of time to make everything work, we've had the election about a month in advance of the end of the term.
But you would have to be a paid member, Angela. So just so you know, let me look at the calendar here. I would say that if you were interested in being an officer, you would need to join by the 20th, because if you're not a paid member and posted into Toastmasters International, you can't take an office. So just wanted to kind of let you know.
Would anybody like to explain the officer roles to her so she knows what different officers they are?
I will send out an
read through some
email
of it.
regarding all of it, but you can go ahead. I'm sorry for
Yeah, I
interrupting.
read through some of it online on the website already. So I think now that I've heard everybody, I'm getting a sense of what you do. This seems like a good way to practice, especially Rob, your recap was good. That's good.
Great.
Rob can also send you the link for the orientation this Saturday, so he could also kind of go over any questions that you have about the different officer roles.
Okay. And does anyone else have any additional business to bring up? Mark, I thought I saw your, okay. I have misinterpreted you.
No, my hand, just the elbow happens to be on the arm of the chair. Sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
Got you, no problema. And let's see, does anyone else any business? Seeing none, we can adjourn the meeting and hope everyone has a great weekend.
Except for the awards.
Yes.
Oh, crap. Okay. Okay.
Mr.
Jacob, would you
Grammarian, did
please
you want to
update us?
take that?
I'm just happy he used the word crap.
All
He's
right.
going
So,
to Vegas. He's just getting ready. Anyway,
all right. So our automatic winners are also our speaker and evaluator, because they were non-contested. So of course they made time, so they did qualify and win for that. So our best table topic speaker is going to go to our guest, Angela. So yay.
Hey.
Yeah.
And the best of the big three is going to go to our table topic master, Karen Lee.
Okay, congratulations, Karen. Congratulations, Angela. And thank you again, Cheryl, for a very fine speech. Definitely appreciate it.
If anybody wants to hang around, either of our guests, I will be around. I don't know how long Mark Schroeder will be around, but
I'll be around for a little while, yeah.
we'll chat a little bit. And if you have any questions beyond what we've talked about, Mark and I and whoever else hangs around will be available right now.
And I will say that I will still put my name in the hat to stay treasurer.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
And with that, we can adjourn and sign off.
Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night.
Thanks, Cheryl.
I'll stop the recording in 3, 2,